Yeah, my bad point is just something that I felt like was going to happen with the introduction of what's supposed to be a new open circuit, and something that I feel like would have made VRS work so much better because I have I, a lot of people have identified that in this new VRS system where like 8 or 16 teams or whatever the number is gets invited based off of ranking alone, uh, it's just that we're kind of seeing the same teams invited over and over and over again. And at present time, we are seeing that the top teams, like the only way a tournament differs in who plays it is if teams bow out. And so, for example, that's kind of what's happening here in Cluj. It's that, Spirit, Vitality, Navi, G2 decide to not go to it for various reasons. And then we get a few teams that are coming in from the bottom. Like, we're getting a couple teams like Wildcard or FlyQuest or Complexity even maybe and like Saw, like they're kind of at the tail end of these invites. But what I think is bad is that the scene what's bad is we are not getting TOs running concurrent events. What I think the VRS system needs to make this a lot more open is we need concurrent events. And so I think the TOs actually need to challenge each other in a way where, for example, IEM Melbourne, let's just say 300K prize pool, a lot of the top teams go to it. I would love if PGL just says, we're running another tournament, same time. Like, no, we are going to cannibalize the calendar against each other because what I would want is that the teams that don't want to fly all the way to Australia to have an alternative, and then Melbourne, I forgot how many teams it is, like 16 or something like that. It would be nice if PGL then runs their own concurrent event for 16 teams, because then you'd have like, say, 6 teams that drop out of the Melbourne event because it's so far away. A different prize pool is there because PGL loves their big prize pools, and then some teams would say, okay, we're going to stay in. Let's just say it's Serbia. Let's just say it's Belgrade or something like that for another 16 team event. And this would give opportunities to like the M80s, the ENSes, the Fanatics, the teams that are like right there on the cusp who aren't getting into these like initial 16 invites, but they're right beneath them and could actually do damage and then could move up their rankings because it's so arduous for a lot of these teams that are outside the top, essentially the top 24. If you're out of the top 24, it's so hard for you to even get in. Like how does like Atox get in? Like they've been on the cusp for this entire time and they just can't get an invite because they're like 23 or 24, 25. It's just like I want to see them get in. Like that's what I thought this whole system was going to allow, because they've grinded up through the ranks in their own region to be right there, but then they don't actually get the land chance because there's no more slots available because they're right outside it. So my bad point is I actually want the TOs to cannibalize the calendar against each other a little bit more, and that they're not doing it because everybody's playing so nice. And I think that eventually they need to just say to each other, like, okay, we don't need to play nice anymore. Like you got like certain TOs are doing things with like soft exclusivity and like membership programs that should actually incentivize other TOs to say, okay, like we know we're not gonna get Navi. We know we're not gonna get Vitality. We know we're not gonna get G2. So let's just run a tournament anyways, because because the calendar, I don't want to, oh God, it's like I could go even further on this because it's like the things that the TOs are doing where they're not technically overlapping the calendar, but they're making travel impossible. Like they're making it literally you can't get from Melbourne to the next event because it's like
That's
you have
intentional,
to.
by the way.
Yes, exactly. That's what I mean. It's intentional.
Yes.
So just go harder instead of trying to
Yeah,
pretend to
true.
play nice. That
Yeah.
it's 12 hours apart from
Yes.
the end of our last match to the beginning of your
Yes.
next match. Like you can't physically get there. So just play a tournament at the same time, and we're gonna see the VRS ranking actually play out better. So that's my bad point. We're not seeing TOs run concurrent tournaments as much as we should in what would make the system more open.
I think de facto we're kind of getting that though. Like I think, like you were saying with the travel stuff, I think I'd rather have them kind of sandwich, like basically fuck over the other media day. So like Astana and Dallas, like one starts
Yes.
the day after the final, right? And then there's the same for I think it's Belgrade and Chengdu. So PGL they've parked the tank on ESL's lawn for those 2 events basically, because and I'd rather have it so that teams have to choose between them, but they're on at different times, because then I can watch both and we can care about both, and the narratives will still be there for both. But you're doing the same thing. Whereas PGL next year have just announced an event during Blast Bounty, and there's just going to be 2 events on at once, and it's going to be like 2017, and oversaturation is going to be like the buzzword of the month again, and it's just going to be a tiring discussion again. So I actually think, in a weird way, the kind of the soft version of doing it, which PGL have done with Dallas and Belgrade, means that we're still going to get those event splits, and we're still going to see lots of different teams at those two events without two events being on at once, because I think everyone just hates that, really. It just hurts both of you. So this is harming team lists, but it's not harming, hopefully, viewership as much as if it was literally at the same time.
Basically, I know what you mean, Maui. I want it to be like watching fucking Succession, and every week it's like, what are they going to pull now? Well, then we pull this back to them. Well, then we're going to fucking do a hostile takeover. Oh, yeah? Well, I already got a guy who's going to provide you with the funds to invest in my shit instead by promising him some future stuff. I want it to be like that. I agree. At this point in time, why try to play nice? The key thing is, Valve's basically said, I won't let anyone dominate the calendar. But aside from that, like Valve always does, just sort of play nice and we'll stay out of it. You're in the sandbox. Well, at that point in time, throw some sand in someone's fucking face, kick them when they're down, trip them over, whatever. Because I'm with you. Nero's doing that from the most insanely self-indulgent perspective ever. Like, but I can't watch two events at once. First of all, mate, VODs exist and you can rewind them. Sorry, Twitch TV, that's actually a feature. So you can watch all those games. And also, stop watching fucking FlyQuest play and actually watch the good teams play. You know, I don't think you really watch all the bottom of the Premier League, but you watch fucking Real Madrid versus Barcelona, El Clasico, don't you? So it actually can run concurrently, bro. You just watch the good games, innit? Or just understand that in your life you can't watch all the games and make your bullshit AI model Jarvis to watch it for you and go, Jarvis, what happened in that game? And then there you go. I've solved your problem. Just do better AI models, bro. Anyway, the reason why I agree with Maui, I want more tournaments, is because that actually does fix the problem for the NIPs of the world, which is if you're the teams who don't make this top 24, and at the moment, if it wasn't for the fact that these TOs are trying to step on each other's toes, and oh, did I trip over and just actually knock your dinner off the table? The reason they're all doing that is because they all want to have the same 24 teams. In fact, the VRS system incentivizes it, and obviously viewership incentivizes it. So in the same way as they all hire the same talent, even though we all know they should probably make themes and battle each other, because they all want to be like, yeah, but I don't want to be the one who doesn't have the one you want to watch. So similarly, at the moment, they're not going to do this, but I low-key do wish there was something almost equivalent to when you'd have like a DreamHack Summer, which could be like halfway between the tier 2 scene and the tier 1 scene. And then the idea was, if someone didn't qualify to, I don't know, Star Series, they could go to that tournament that was starting a day before or a day after, because then if you are the NIP or the Imperial Male team, maybe you go to that LAN, as opposed to, if you don't know right now, the nightmare of VRS is, it's not even just like win the games, bro. It's like you almost have to be like fucking Navi on LAN last year, but in online cops to get into these things. You have to like win like 5 in a row or something and like never drop a game. And God forbid you ever lose to a bad team or lose early. Like you just throw all your points in the bin again, because remember, it's like, again, we won't go into it, but part of how these tournaments work, which I think is the flaw in the weighting at the moment, it's actually how the female angle worked to qualifying, is it's not actually that as much of an elo system as you think. It's more like where you place within the tournament that has that prize purse and all the rest of it. So the problem is they are the fucking NIP 87 and 0, if you don't know, of their female scene. So they're always first in a tournament with loads of prize money. So it treats that like, hey, this is pretty fucking good, and gives them loads of points. And now look, Valve, if you read the actual fine print, it turns out I didn't know this. I read the fine print. That actually is a feature, not a bug for Valve. They actually said they're fine with you restricting based on region and gender. That was literally in the rules. I actually wasn't aware that. I thought this was an oversight. So anyway, to bring it all the way back, at the moment, it's really, really hard to get in if you're not in those top teams. That's why at the moment, the most obvious example is this, right? On paper, both NIP and Heroic have quite similar, exciting teams that could be good. But the reason why Heroic is loving life is they cynically signed 3 players from Sangal, one of whom they've almost already, we've talked about on a past episode, signaled in every single way, the second we don't need this guy, we will drop him and bring this other guy that bizarrely we've signed for years and years and years, but isn't in the team. And then he, fight his way into no, he'll just be in the team. What they're saying there is, we actually only wanted 2 Sangal players, but we needed 3 for the spot. NIP took the opposite gamble and said, you know what? Fuck buying the 3 players and being cynical. We're actually going to believe that Snappy and these guys can just win their way through this insane gauntlet and get there. And if they do, God bless them. But I have to say, I think they've chosen, and that's like some Sisyphean task for them. So on that angle, I'll just bring it back to, yeah, I sort of agree. I think it's a good angle there.
I think it's the same. It's the same solution as the last point though, where it's, I think you just have open qualifiers for these events, and then you get the variety and you get the opportunities.
By the way, that's one thing that people don't seem to get.
All 16 teams.
Why does it have to always be one or the other? Like, by the way, when I say open qualifiers, I don't know what you're meaning. I'm meaning like 1 or 2 slots. I'm not meaning like make half the field open qualifier and then half invited. Still invite, like say you have 24 teams, Nero. Invite 22 from the VRS and make the other 2 just open qualifier. That's enough spots for the NIP team to get in if they're legit,
Yeah, I mean maybe like 2/3 or something, so you can have regional split as well.
Okay.
Because then maybe we do see ATOX, right? And I think Pro League is probably going to be an example of that because ATOX have qualified.
Right.
But it's just because you need, like, people glorify the open circuit, and I think maybe my last point makes me sound quite like pro Super League vibe because I do just want to see the best teams. But I do think any system where basically NIP should have just signed Story instead of Wrinkle, even if they think he's a worse player.
Essentially.
Yeah.
And it's like any system that rewards you signing worse players just for points, like it just feels like there has to be a way of making like your individual points because I think NIP actually thought they were going to get like a bit of a gimmick because they won that Katowice LAN. I saw some people talking about it in like the Liquipedia Discord or something, and they thought that would count as like a wildcard invite. So I think they thought they were going to get more invites than they did. I don't think they really planned the whole.
I can tell you the reason why Threat did that.
They must have thought they'd get more.
The reason why Threat did that Feed the Troll episode is because basically NIP was also getting fucked by this weird thing where they kept like retroactively withdrawing VRS points when you already started playing and then giving it to tournaments that you decided not to play because they didn't have VRS. So the other thing was there wasn't even any game plan. You couldn't have known, you couldn't have known, oh, it's okay if we get through these 3 LAN. No one knew what was coming next is the problem.
Do you know what they should do as well? I think because like Epic LAN and Launders LAN.
This is going to happen.
Like, Valve are pretty open.
Yep.
These are ranked events.
They are.
Why aren't NIP going and winning Epic LAN?
But it's way, that is what essentially Messi also said that will happen, is that people are going to cynically go to UK lands that have all right prize money and just farm points, because why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Kind of sick for the local LAN operator.
Sure.
That you're getting these top teams, and then your broadcast is going to actually pop off, probably.
Yeah, or way more than the local teams. Of course, yeah, no one watches the
Definitely going to suck for the teams that sign up and pay to get into them and then just get owned.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, in a way, you are also.
Because you know that one kill.
No, but that's also
you
the
know,
joke.
like if you're playing at Snappy, 1 kill just wins. Just that's the best
Listen,
moment of your life.
Yeah, you will feel great, actually.
It does feel good for you, but at the same time, you notice what you're doing there. Everyone always ignores is you've fixed a problem in your like closed circuit by just stepping on the head of UK open circuit at that point in time. Like that UK land's supposed to be won by a UK team, it probably the best UK team, but now the joke is they have to play NIP in the final and go, what the fuck? Like they're about twice as good as us. And they have no chance whatsoever, do they? So the joke is he would just get the 1 kill. That's his prize. 1 kill instead of the trophy in €2,000 or whatever it would be. See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, be a pleb and don't.